me about it. Come on, let's talk about it. Change up the things you see. Open your mind to possibilities. Find your power, passion, and your purpose. You know it's time for you to walk in greatness. Let's murder mediocrity. Slay your goals, live out your dreams. Right now. Inspirational perspective.
So, to I guess in many ways to absolve all the questions about what's the topic, Attorney Fenton wrote what he calls your level up guide to asset protection, trust, and estate planning. And you did a good job, brother. I got to say that. I mean, you did a really, really good job.
You know how life be lifing. When I wrote my first book, this book and my first book were to go hand in hand. Right? At first, I was going to make it like part 1, part 2, but like in a package.
Right.
The first one is like, okay, let's get our mind right.
What's the title of the first book?
F the odds, F asterisk CK, F the odds, how to bet on you and win.
And that's available on
It's
Amazon.
also on Amazon.
Yeah, that's also on Amazon.
And so, it was a mindset thing. Mm-hmm. We hear everybody's talking, on the streets, they call it get the bag, or ladies, get the bag.
Right.
Them deeds and passports and whatever, luxury vehicles and men, I'm getting my money up, right? But we don't have the tools. We don't have the proper psychology to even create that.
Man.
Right?
Yes.
So the psychology and the tools, the systems, right? So one thing I said, all right, let me talk to the mind, let's speak to the spirit, if you will, the culture. And that's part of the first book. Like, I understand you. Here's some things that I did. But then the second piece is like, all right, but here are some actual fundamental business and legal tools. Because if we don't have that toolbox,
we're in
good luck.
In trouble.
Good luck.
Yeah.
And even if you get the money, I've said it 1,000 times. It's one thing to get some money. It's a whole nother process to keep money.
Man. And to keep it past your demise.
Well, then that's another level.
That's a whole nother level. So you're saying 3 levels.
Yes.
One is to get money.
Yes.
Like most, and by the way, when I think about our community, most of us are in the get money. We're still at level 1. I mean, I need to get money. How do I get more money?
Right.
We're in that conversation. Then you're saying level 2 is, okay, you got a little money. How do you keep it?
Correct.
I think when we talk estate planning, we assume, like, well, of course, James Brown should have done that, right?
Yeah,
well,
because James has money.
Right? Well, of course, Prince
should
have done that. Aretha Franklin, what do you mean she didn't do that, right?
Right.
But then we won't look at ourselves. And so what qualifies an individual for estate planning?
What qualifies you is you have children and you have $0 in the bank.
So hold up. You mean to tell me that if I have a child, somebody's listening right now, they like, what? Like, so I want to embrace their surprise. Mm-hmm. You're telling me that if I have a child, if I father a child,
yes,
that upon the birth of that child, that immediately qualifies me for an estate plan. Like, I need to be thinking about an estate plan.
Yes.
Why? I don't got money.
Yeah. So one of the reasons why you need to do estate planning if you have a child, and I skipped some steps. I just went to child. Mm-hmm. One, because you want to be around for your child. And if you were ever involved in an accident, you want to make certain that someone you trust, who's competent, who cares about you, is in a position to make healthcare decisions on your behalf to bring you back to your child. Right.
So what I'm hearing is estate planning, and by the way, you do this in a great job in the book explaining this. Estate planning is not just about wealth,
No.
but more so about family.
It's about family, and it's about care. Most people, when they think about estate planning, they think about their demise, like I'm gone.
Yeah.
And that's only a small aspect of it, right? Another reason why when you have a child, as an example, especially a minor child, is critical. Because even if you have other tools, other systems in place, which we may or may not get to what that means, but even if you have contingency plans in place financially for your child, a will allows you to say who you desire to be the guardian of any minor child. That's what the courts will follow. So if something happens to you and your spouse, there's an accident, in your will it's going to say, this is who I desire to be my guardian's minor child.
Got it.
Just that alone.
Now, let's explore the other side, because right now I know there are a lot of parents who their mouths may have dropped because they're like, well, I'm waiting for that next, zero behind what it is we have in the account, right? Or, hey, babe, we're going to do this eventually when we get that asset we've been planning for. And you're like, your child, right off the top. What happens if two parents who have a child or children pass away without a will and trust? Like, what can happen to that child?
Lord, that's in my book, but I just want to tell you it's a mess. Mm-hmm. If you have a minor child and something happens to both the biological parents, I don't care, the baby been staying with grandma and calls grandma mama, right. Whatever.
Right.
Whoever steps in, and hopefully there's someone responsible enough to step in, but whoever steps in is going to have to go through the court to be appointed as guardian of your minor child. So I always preach to single mothers in particular, not to exclude men, but typically those are the ones who are most express outwardly the concern. And, and the head of the household in many instances, particularly in our community. And so, you want to make certain that a guardian is in place for your minor child. Here's the other one. Most of our families are either headed by a single-parent household, or otherwise we have blended families.
Right.
So if you're a step-parent and you've taken on the role of responsibility as parent, it's not good enough that you go into court and say, I'm the step-parent and all this boy knows is me. Right?
Right.
So mom has to put that in writing. Otherwise, you may be fighting grandma or cousin over custody if something happens to mom.
Got you. Wow. So, that sets it right there. But what if I don't have children? What I really want people to understand that this is what this book here that you wrote, and I want to get into the psychology of all this. I want to qualify it first, because I think sometimes some of us may turn on the radio, hear the topic, and go, "Oh, that's not for me."
Right.
And so, what if I don't have children? I'm single. I've been at it for a while.
Right.
I got my work life insurance policy with my beneficiaries. I don't need all that. Or do I?
Yeah. This is the one. This is where I wanted to be. I want to have this conversation right here. Mm-hmm. Because what I have found, what I believe to be true prior to finding the truth of it, is that you must learn to practice the way that you play. And then that your creation begins in the mind. And that the act of planning is sort of a predicate to actually the manifestation of it.
Of what you will create.
Yes.
Yeah, buddy.
You don't get, then go back and plan. You plan and then you go get.
Then you go get it.
Or you receive it. And
I
think
the second part.
Yes.
You receive it because you're actually ready for it.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we don't prepare ourselves to receive the thing that we desire.
Mentally.
Yes. So if you have $0, it's more incumbent upon you to do this type of planning than it is someone who has millions of dollars. Because a person who has millions of dollars can afford a mistake. If Linnell does nothing, if I do nothing, my wife still is going to be okay. She may have a little red tape.
Right. Yeah. Right.
You follow? But she can afford the red tape.
Right. There's a cushion. Now it's when you say that, I'm like, absolute. Like my psychology is they get nothing. That's taken from my child. They get nothing. But I get your point.
Yeah, that's my point.
I get your point.
In the context.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. You know, and then you have a responsibility. No one who's acquired assets.
Right.
And I also would like to make the distinction between income and assets. Because we like to talk in terms of income. Yeah. Which is oftentimes meaningless.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, what's the number I shared some time ago? 75% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck.
Correct.
So your income is meaningless.
Well, like 30%, mid-20s to 30%. Of people making over, I think, 100,000 or 200,000 live paycheck to paycheck.
Paycheck to paycheck.
A third of people making over $250,000 a year, they live paycheck to paycheck. So it's not about your income.
Right. That's what I really want people to get. I mean, the title of the show is Level Up Yourself, Level Up Your Wealth.
Right.
And when we discussed that, I believe we both were thinking, level up your mind.
Yes.
Level up your mindset.
Yes.
Like when you level up your mindset, everything else comes. And I firmly believe part of the reason many of us don't have wealth is because our mind container, our mental container, doesn't have the capacity for wealth.
Yeah.
And so I have to work on that first.
And I'm jumping in. I'm just going to say it and it hurts me a little bit, right? Because I'm like, if we can't do this,
right?
You know, when
you say this, what do you mean? What are you pointing to?
Like this type of planning,
right? Yeah.
My purpose. You talk about purpose. Part of my purpose is to provide this information to my community,
right?
Because I understand the benefits and the value of the tool of money, and I understand the psychological, not even psychological, well, it's psychological, but I think it's also it's necessary that we graduate or elevate to another level as a people.
Absolutely.
And part of that is the economics of us.
Man.
And we don't have the education, and we're making a very fatal mistake. And 100 years from now, we're going to look back upon this time. You all will call me Nostradamus.
I hope not. I hope you're not right about this. Go ahead and say
I hate that. It's happening right now.
I know. We're watching it.
Because we're so concerned about how much money we make, and we don't understand that how much money we make is useless unless we plan, unless we transform or transfer the power of money to something real and tangible. And that's the mistake that we're making. And those of us who do get a little money, we don't know how to keep it. For those of us who get a little money, we don't know how to transfer it or use it in the marketplace.
Right.
And so all of this wealth that you see around in the black community right now is meaningless.
Is it really wealth?
It's not even wealth.
For the most part, I see it as things. We have things.
That's my point.
And we have depreciating things. I mean, not even depreciating assets. We have depreciating things. Nice cars, nice clothes, nice bags, nice shoes.
Right.
I mean, that's what when I see wealth in our community, I typically see it on us.
Correct. Well, it's not wealth.
No,
so we're not seeing wealth in our community.
Well, it is. It is. Yesterday.
Well, it's potential wealth.
Yesterday, my wife and I, we did a funeral and a wedding in one day. All with us.
Wow.
Our folks, right?
Wow.
So We mourned with our folks, and then we celebrated with our folks. And the thing that I saw, it's this contrast, right? I saw a gentleman who had a hat on that cost a tenth of what his car is worth. I'm in the car game.
Right.
So when I see a car, he's driving a car, he gets out the car with a hat that is worth a tenth of what his car is worth, both depreciating things.
Right.
And I just think to myself, it don't even look right.
Correct.
For you to wear a hat that is a tenth of the value of your car.
Yeah. I call that your rims cost more than your car.
Your hat
Cost, yeah.
it's more than probably about 4, 5, or 6 of your payments.
Wow.
And so this is where we make like our mistakes, because that's not wealth.
Right.
And but I want to make this point. That's the same person that will listen to this broadcast and say, I can't afford Attorney Fenton.
Right.
Yes, you can. Don't buy the hat.
Yeah.
We're talking about the psychology, like level up yourself.
Yeah.
Level up your wealth.
Yeah.
Like that's where we've got to get, where I have to be willing to invest everything in myself and everything in my family first.
Right.
And then that's when I'll get rich.
Right.
And
also in the process, then you'll begin to hopefully appreciate the value and what rich really means.
Exactly.
The benefits of wealth.
Exactly.
Not the outward expression and false, sort of pretense of what wealth oftentimes means in poorer communities.
What were you looking to achieve? I mean, because in many ways, reading is one of the best ways to tap into a person's psychology, to influence their way of thinking. What were you looking to achieve with our community in particular in terms of how we think by writing this book?
One, I wanted us to understand some of the fundamentals of the law and business as it relates to asset protection, as it relates to trusts, powers of attorney, guardianship. I wanted us to understand that because we just don't have that education, right?
Right.
And then the other part of it is also, it's part of it's psychological. I want us to get into the proper mindset such that we are in a position, not a financial position, in a mental, psychological position to do the things necessary to create the things that we say we desire in our lives. I see so many people. We're vacationing. Mm-hmm. We have children. Oh, I love my baby. They have no asset protection in place.
Baby
no
at home
estate
with
plan. Yeah, baby at home with grandma.
You got on a plane with the husband.
You don't even have a power of attorney. You spent thousands of dollars to go on a vacation, but you never even thought to do a basic financial power of attorney to give grandma the authority to access your accounts in the event that you're in an accident and she needs some money to take care of your baby that she's taking care of for you as you fly off to Jamaica. The mentality of us.
Hold on. And when you fly off to Jamaica,
yes,
you get into a cab or a vehicle with someone you never met,
correct,
don't know if
correct,
they can drive, how well they can drive, how many accidents they've had. And so not only are you putting yourself at risk, but the risk you're putting that child in if something happens.
Correct. And then we talk about money. And then we talk about business. Then we talk about how much money Jay-Z has. And I'm telling you, it just bothers me. Before, I used to get upset.
Yeah.
Right? And now I'm to the point of empathy for our people.
Yeah.
We're so lost because we are seeing remnants of what seems or suggests that we have wealth. We don't have it.
Right. No, I mean, well, how I think about it is this. I think the example I just gave of the Facebook post you made.
Yeah.
here's a woman who thought she was doing the right thing with her quote unquote wealth. I say her quote unquote wealth because she didn't realize that she transferred her wealth.
Right.
In that moment, right, with the deed. Like, you transferred your wealth. And so, like, it always comes back to this for me. I think this is a great way to end it. This is why I am such a fan of experts. I want to know the expert. I know what I'm good at, right? I can help you with your mental psychology and taking yourself mentally, emotionally to the next level, right? But what I look like saying, I'm not going to pay Fenton for this. I got this. I'm smart. No, I'm not an expert of law. I don't have a judiciary of law. And understanding that it's necessary to employ the expert on my behalf in every facet of my life. Everything that I do. And when I say everything, I had a horticulturalist and landscaper who happens to be a botanist come to the house and say, this is what you should do to the landscape.
Can I say?
Mm-hmm.
See, what I understand and know, Linnell, part of your success is not because you launch the expert, you access the expert. It is because you're getting expert advice.
Right.
But more important than the fact that you had the assistance of the expert is the fact that you have the mentality to seek the expert.
So I'm just reading the back of your book. Ernest B Fenton is the managing attorney of his boutique law practice. How many years you been practicing law, brother?
23, 24.
23 years, so 2 decades, almost 2.5 decades of practicing law. The law office of Ernest B Fenton, the firm's concentration, is on estate planning, asset protection, real estate, corporate matters, and foreclosure defense. Attorney Fenton was formally trained and graduated from Harvard Law School in 1997. Let's let that sit in. Let that sit in. I think we forget. I forget sometimes, right?
So do I.
I forget sometimes that you went to what is considered one of the number one schools in the world. We're not talking about the United States of America. Like, people grow. I mean, right now, there's a young person in China who is studying in this moment because they have Harvard in their aspirations. I need to go to Harvard.
Yes, they are.
Right?
And they're like 15%. I think they were headed to a third.
I'm not done yet. Because I think we forget, right? So you graduated in 1997. He has more than 25 years of practical experience as a lifelong entrepreneur. So you've been an entrepreneur for basically your adult life.
Almost 30 years.
Almost 30 years. And I want you all to also consider this. Because I think sometimes, like, we forget that an attorney, Ernest B Fenton, doesn't have to do or didn't have to do what he is doing. Because when you come out of Harvard Law, there are companies who are in line to recruit you. I'm sure you had to make some decisions back then. Like, they're in line to say, and then not just this, nowadays, this is how it goes. Not only is he a Harvard graduate, but he's also a black man. we could definitely use.
We could use him.
We could use some diversity.
We can use Jay-Z as a sponsor.
Right. Hey, look,
as one on our team.
Here's what they would do, right?
Beyonce.
They'd be like, because right now we represent a few clients where we could sit him at the table.
That's hilarious.
And that would be, that would look good for us.
Facts.
Right? So, and then let's also say that the income, we just talked about income, right? How we focus on income. And I really want the audience to get this, right? Because you're sharing the mistake we make is that we focus on income.
Yeah.
What I think the audience doesn't get, that is, if you focused on income early on, we wouldn't have you.
Oh, that's a good one. Yes, you're absolutely correct.
Because I think some people, because when you said that, somebody in the audience said, that's easy for him to say.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right?
Yeah.
That's easy for him to say, because I know Attorney Fenton is doing well. I'm sure he's doing just fine. So for him to sit behind the mic and say,
well, they need to read my first book.
Well, yeah,
but I got you. But I can tell you.
They need to read your first book to understand the struggle. But at the same time, if it was all about income, you wouldn't have made the decision you made.
Yeah. Yeah. Part of my inspiration, to write the book is to share my experiences, although I don't highlight my experiences directly in this book, but sort of I've lived those experiences that got me to this point. Because until relatively recently, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I didn't have a grasp of how to create wealth and to preserve my money. There were times that I was making, quote unquote, more money income than I am right now, but I had a lot less.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now the goal for me, and this is just one goal, but I'll share this. The goal for me is to not need a lot of income. The goal for me is to I don't even need income. I'm going to wake you up a little bit. Trump. They were like, well, how doesn't he pay taxes? Well, Trump said, because I don't have any income. The most wealthy people don't have income. The goal is not to have more income. The goal is to have no income. Like my assets, I want to work for me.
Somebody right now is like, what does he mean? Go buy the book. go buy the book.
Yeah.
Go buy the book, right? Go purchase the book right now on Amazon.com so you can understand what he means.
Yeah. I did a home visit for a young lady yesterday, and she's ill. I do a lot of hospital visits, and I really don't make any money when I do hospital visits. You know what I'm doing the hospital visit.
Right.
So I'm tired of doing hospital visits because we're waiting until the last minute. Now, don't get me wrong. Stuff happens. You might have to do a hospital visit. Look, I had this in place, but I need to do this. I need to supplement it.
Right.
But we're doing it like we have nothing in place.
Nothing. Starting from scratch.
We're starting from scratch.
And let me say this about you. I had a minister call me not so long ago, and they were like, you trust Attorney Fenton? Because someone in my congregation is making a move with him. And, he told them to do X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. And I said, let me tell you something. I trust anyone who has, in your case, right? I trust anyone who I know has a love, a deep love for the community. And I'm saying that because of what you just shared. Your willingness to oh my goodness, you don't have the protection you need. I'm not going to make money on this, or even if, and I want people to understand what you mean by making money, because they were like, well, he charged me. If Attorney Fenton has to drive to the hospital, right? I want people, because I don't think we really understand how this works, right? In order for you to get business, you don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So if you have to drive, walk through the hospital, press the elevator buttons, go into the room, have a conversation, have a person sign whatever it is they need to sign to get it in place, and then go back to your car. By the way, you paid for parking, right? You had to pay for gas. You had to pay for all those things. They got the best end of the stick on that one.
Yeah.
Because everybody else is coming into the office.
This also relates, it's mindset. Gently as possible, I shall say this. I'll say this as gently as possible. If somebody called me right now and said, hey, I got $300, but I'm 35 minutes away. I'm 40 minutes away. I want to give it to you. I'd say, oh, no, keep that. Take your kids out and buy them some shoes. No, thank you. That's how valuable my time is.
Exactly.
You can't give me.
Right.
If I get up and go somewhere on a Saturday and it takes 2 or 3 hours of my day, if you said I have $1,000, I might come get it. I might. So if you're paying me $500 or $700 to do some powers of attorney and I get in my car, for me, you haven't paid me anything.
Right.
You're only paid for the document I'm giving you, but exactly. I have given you.
And for your team to process.
Yes, I have given you my time.
Yeah.
That was a gift. Me was a gift.
Right.
You paid for the document.
And I'm pointing to this because I was asked, well, do you trust the brother? And I'm like, man, absolutely 100%. And that's the other commodity that I don't think we really get as a community. Like the commodity of trust. Like that's in many ways another asset that we don't always value. Like, wait a second, because, attorneys have they have like this, you go to attorney's going to get over on you. Well, here's an attorney that we can trust as a community who then, like what you put in the book, I already know attorneys are going to read this like, oh, this guy, right? Because you gave it away. Like you gave it away. You're telling them, hey, here's what to do and how to do it. And so, one, I just want to acknowledge you. I want to acknowledge you and really make sure that for the people who are listening who are familiar with you, they don't allow the familiarity to get in the way of what they should be doing today. Like, get the book, read the book, and start taking action.
Yeah, for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
For yourself.
What are the first steps that a person should take to begin building wealth?
Clean your closet. In the words of Dr. Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, I love that. What do you mean by that? When you say clean your closet, what do you mean?
Go clean your car. Get the clothes out the trunk. Go take your clothes to the dry cleaners. Finish your taxes. Sit down, like Linnell talks about, and write out your goals. Come up with some objectives. Be honest about where you are right now. We're not honest people. We're not honest. You're dishonest. Stop lying. Stop lying to yourself. And here's the lie that you give to yourself. Because you don't look to see if what you're telling yourself is true or not. That's the lie. That's the biggest lie we tell ourselves.
Right.
I go to the gym oftentimes. Sorry, sidetrack. But yesterday in the gym, I did hour workout, felt like 2. It was like a double workout. And I was doing push-ups and jumping on a box. And then sometimes I'm like, let me just do one step up on the box. Or let me not go all the way down on this push-up. And I said, let me not lie to myself. Let me find out exactly how good of shape I'm in.
Right.
I'm going to do the full push-up to see how many I can actually do.
All the way down.
I'm going to do it to see.
Yeah, all the way up.
And see, that's what we don't want to do. Yeah. We don't really want to know the truth about our finances. So write it down. How much income, quote unquote, do you make? What are your expenses? How much money do you spend? Right? It's only okay. Do I have powers of attorney? Do I need a trust? Are my property taxes? Have I applied for my exemptions? Don't even start talking about wealth until all those things are in place. And that's the mistake that we're making. That's what bothers me.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't care. You fill up a bucket. We're filling up buckets of cash. We got all types of holes. We got wind blowing through it. It's not going to matter. It's not going to make it to your kids. I hate to tell you this. You know why? Because your kids ain't ready. How do I know your children are ready? Because you're not ready.
That's right.
So many people talking about I'm doing this for my children. It's a lie. It's the biggest lie that we tell ourselves. You're not doing this for your children. You're doing it for the child in you.
That enough, not enough context.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I just want us to be honest. We can't take it.
I love that. I love that. If you just joined, Attorney Fenton just got done answering the question, how do we start today building our wealth? His answer, clean your closet. Clean your closet.
And then we can talk about money. We're not even in a position to start talking about wealth. Linnell, I just got here.
Man,
do you understand what I'm telling you? I'm going back to your question about the expert. I'm like, you people know nothing. And 90%, first off, it's okay to know nothing. Let me tell you how much you all know about business or law. Nothing. You know nothing. The people on the internet, I see them, I just laugh. They know nothing.
Oh, my goodness. You know what? That is, and I think this is where we have to really, the guy who is doing a 30-second reel or a 60-second reel with a soundbite, giving you tax information or wealth information. I can't even tell you how many times people have forwarded stuff to me, and I'm like, that's inaccurate.
Yeah, 90% know nothing. They're not even practitioners.
It's out of context.
Correct.
Yeah.
Get an LLC. Go online. Start an LLC. Get an EIN number. Get your business credit. Apply for a loan. No, that's part of the book. I want to give you some details. This is real stuff.
Yeah.
I put this into the atmosphere. Give it to another lawyer.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I tell people.
And let me share this too. This just happened in one of my businesses. So my team and I, we made a move to take advantage of the market. And and this is why you want experts on your team. In making the move, we exposed ourselves. We didn't even realize it, right? I'm Linnell Harris. I'm smart. I understand business.
Right.
We exposed ourselves.
Right.
The reason why you have experts like Attorney Fenton on your team is when you create that level of exposure, oh my, what did you just do? Why did you do that? Do you realize that this can happen? Oh no, I didn't.
It's blind spots.
I didn't realize that. Man, and then here's the thing. As soon as I was told, I'm like, I know that.
Right.
But I'm in it.
Correct.
I'm in it, right?
Correct.
I just wanted to take advantage of the marketplace. And so here it is, without the experts, I can make a horrible, horrible decision.
Yeah.
But the beauty of experts is before something happens, they help you clean it up. In terms of like everything you just shared, I want to go back to this idea of mindset.
Right.
And the mental container. You said a few things that really stuck out to me. One, we lie to ourselves.
Yes.
And I also think that we create an environment around us that lies to us as well.
Correct.
So I feel wealthy because I'm getting into a luxury vehicle.
Yeah. That's the black community.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel wealthy because I like the look of my house.
Yeah.
And so I'm all these things are lying to me because in essence, I'm not wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this also is a place where expanding our mental container is so important. Like in really developing our psychology to know when it's time to make that move and when it's not.
Right.
Attorney Fenton, I don't got a lot of money. What I need asset protection for? Like I'm in my late 20s. I have one vehicle. I just purchased a piece of property. The property has little to no equity in it. You know, I'm just building. What do I need asset protection for?
Yeah. Well, let's just say I'll start here. If you have one little old house, that's how my mother would refer to her home. Mm-hmm. She'd say, I just got this little old house. Well, at one point, her little old house was paid for, right? And in today's market, her little old house is worth, let's say, $150,000, $170,000. Mm-hmm. We've already established most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
So what would be the benefit if she had this little old house, my mother passed away, and that little old house was passed down to one of her children who doesn't have anything. So now that $170,000 to some person is worth millions of dollars, the equivalent, as it would be to another.
Right.
So if you just have a little old house, it's worth protecting. You may have a mortgage on it today. It may not have much equity, but you're not doing asset protection just for you. Remember your baby. Remember your grandchildren. Remember the community.
Right.
Because these are the things that we proclaim to care about.
Right. Right.
So when you think about this, I do want you to think about you, because I think oftentimes we make that error as well. But I want you to understand that this is long term. We're living longer, 20, 30, 40 years from now, when that little old house is paid off and the market, has increased historically 7-8%. Real estate, and now it's worth $300,000. Well, if you go into a nursing home, that nursing home could potentially take that little old house that's now worth $300,000 to your family or your grandchildren. Asset protection is for you. It's also for the next generation.
So I get that. I get what you're saying, and I'm having trouble, and I'm speaking for the audience here.
Yeah,
I'm having trouble with this notion that of not owning anything or not having any income. So, like when we talk about asset protection, why is it? Because I always hear you say, Attorney Fenton, like, don't have it in your name, don't own it, don't have income. Like, how does all that work?
I'll just simply say, and come to the event, but I'll just simply say, because it's a long conversation, to those who are conspiracy theorists, just because I always believe a ghost is behind me or someone's following me, I'm paranoid, doesn't mean that no one's following me. Mm-hmm. America is litigious. And I'm also, quote unquote, predicting, and it's not a great prediction, but I've been saying it for the last decade or more. One of the next great crises will be the student loan debt crisis, the credit card debt crisis, and the healthcare crisis. And if you don't start now in protecting the little or whatever you have, one of those three things is either going to get you or it's going to get your children. And one day, I do believe that that the government is going to wake up and say, you know what, it's time for all of your children who took out $100,000 in loans and never paid them back, and they ballooned to $250,000. We want that money. So that house that you left for your child, it's not going to be, the government is going to show up the moment you put that house or that cash or that life insurance money in your child's hand. The government is going to be standing there to take it from them. So your asset protection, it's for you, right? If you go into a nursing home, you don't want to give the house to the nursing home, right? Or to the government Medicaid program, and it's for your children. You don't want to hand that house to your child who has $150,000 in student loan debt, or who's going through a divorce,
oh man,
or who's on drugs, whatever the case may be. So if we're really talking about community, which most of us do, the community. If we really care about the kids and the grandkids, then we care about this.
Got it. I want to tell a story real quick. I may have told you this story. 26 years old. I have a piece of property. Back then, I didn't know any better. Everything's in my name, and I'm proud of it. I'm 26. I got real estate. So everything's in my name. I had no guidance whatsoever. I'm driving to work one day and making a left-hand turn. Everything appears to be clear. The light turns yellow. I'm making a left-hand turn. The light turns yellow as I'm in the intersection, which gives me my right-of-way to go ahead and proceed to make my left turn before the light turns red. As I begin my turn, I see a green Chevy Blazer far off, and it looks like it's a bullet coming at me. It's coming fast. The next thing I know, I'm broadsided on the passenger side of my vehicle. the vehicle is spun, and it spins 3 times into another vehicle that was making a right-hand turn.
Wow.
Okay? The woman in that vehicle was pregnant. There were 2 people in the Chevy Blazer. One did not have on her seatbelt. She's severely injured in the accident. Now, this woman ran the red light. It's not my fault. However, see, this is what we forget, right? I'm the only person in this whole scene that's black. And I'm in a white neighborhood. When the police show up, guess who's at fault?
Oh, wow, you.
And now their attorneys get involved. This young man has property.
Oh, wow. So now they're trying to sue you. So if your insurance didn't cover the entire claim.
This young man has property.
Right.
So the thing that I was so proud of that I never, ever thought someone could take away from me.
Now it's your noose. Yes.
Is now up for grabs, potentially.
Oh, yeah, they're coming after it.
And at the age of 26, this is when I learned that in one moment, everything you've worked hard for
can be taken away.
And I think, and I wanted to share that story with our community, because I think sometimes we're like, you know what, I'm going to call Attorney Fenton, or I'm going to read that book, like, after I finish this or finish that. And it's like, this is one of those conversations that you can't put off, because we don't know what's happening tomorrow. Like, we have no idea. Like, you can't put this conversation off. And at the age of 26, I learned the hard way how important what I didn't even know existed is.
Yeah.
Some level of asset protection, trust, etc. Single. I never thought I needed to know that.
Right.
No children. What do I need asset protection for? What do I need a living will and trust for? Boy, did I find out.
Right.
Boy, did I find out early on.
Yeah, you would have been starting over.
Thank God that it didn't go down like that.
Right.
In the end, after all the court cases and depositions and things like that, right? And insurance stepping in, etc. But it was a wake-up call. And I'm sharing a story with someone else who's like, well, I'll get to it. It's like, oh, this has to be urgent. We have to, and I like to use this term, patient urgence. Like, we have to be patiently urgent to get all these things in place, the right things in place.
Yeah. You know what really all of this is about, Linnell? When you invited me, opened your door, and I appreciate it to be on the show. I just want everybody to get their life right.
Right.
And I don't want you to think, it is about money, but it's not just about money. This is about your life.
Yeah.
And access to opportunity and a way of being and living that is also at stake. A lot of what holds us back is because we're not in a space of creativity. We're not in a space of abundance. We're not in a space of possibility. And in part, it shows up as a lack of resources or assets or money. But really, that's not what's holding you back. What's really holding you back is your mindset, which then manifests in your lack of money. So until you get that mindset right, not only will you not have the money, but you're not going to have the life. Because there are people who have the money, but who don't have the life.
You're right. Here's the other piece, and I've been talking on the show a lot about this, but it's mindset. Your mindset helps set your frequency and your vibration.
Yeah.
And it also, in many ways, creates a lever on your emotional energy. I want to say this, right? When and I'm speaking to people who have a little something to lose right now, right? So they've been working. They've been going at it. But this is also to the person that's building as well. When you know there's a loose end, it affects your frequency.
Correct.
Right? Not having your business in place properly, asset protection, trust, etc., is a loose end.
Yeah.
And there's something it creates something in your space.
Yeah.
So now you're looking to go to the next level financially, but your frequency is off.
Correct.
Your frequency is off because you haven't handled what you're supposed to handle at this level.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we talked about this to start the show. I think it's a great way to end the show. That wealth has a lot to do with the mental container, but along with the mental container that you're talking about, it's also the frequency and the vibration that comes with all of that.
Yeah.
And this is what you can't fool. Like you can't lie to yourself about this. Your frequency is based on your integrity.
Correct.
Right? And so if I'm out of integrity financially, I can never achieve what I intend to achieve financially until I get in integrity. They say knowledge is grievous. Maybe somebody this morning, they didn't even know that they were supposed to do these things. So here we are. What happens with knowledge is it creates loose ends.
Right.
It creates, it will shift your. This is why some folks don't like
they don't want to do
self-development.
it. No.
Right? Because it's like, well, then I got to learn. I just learned something new I got to do. And now that weighs me down. Like it becomes a drag.
Correct.
Now, here's the flip side of it. If you address the drag, you can fly even higher, faster.
Correct.
And that's the point of self-development. That's the point of this conversation.
And then also with that mindset, as you develop the mindset, which takes me back to the conversation about the expert, you have the mindset of, let me access the expert. See, see, a lot of people, I'll use Linnell as an example, they may look at a Linnell and say, well, Linnell is together. His stuff is together, right? Where they may feel embarrassed because they know they're loose ends. Well, guess what? You just shared, first off, by accessing an expert, you're acknowledging your loose ends.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
But here's the other part of it. Your relationship. Now I'm Linnelling Linnell. Your relationship with loose ends is different than a person who's poor. Because your relationship to my stuff ain't together is shame. It's fear. It's stick your head in a hole. Linnell's relationship to loose ends is excitement, opportunity. Let me talk to an expert.
Let me expose myself.
Let me expose myself to an expert.
Yeah. I got a loose end. What else do you see? What else is flapping in the wind?
So change your relationship.
To
what you have before perceived as lack. It's opportunity.
Opportunity. It's just going to make you better.
Yes.
It only makes you better in every capacity.
Yeah.
Every capacity.
I have an adult daughter. I have a home. I'm in my senior, 67 years old. And this is just about the only thing I have. So I just want to get everything in order.
Yeah.
So I will be getting your books, and I thank you for this program today.
All right.
Thanks for hearing both of you guys.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye.
And as she hangs up, Miss Pat, if you're still listening, you likely...
Yes, I am.
You are? You likely have more than you know.
Yeah.
This is the, I'm just, I'm
Can I let me share this.
Yep.
Let me share this about setting up a trust for a child.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this story is in the book. Maybe it'll come up on April 29th, the book launch. I had a family come into my office, and this is just one example. I'm not going to use the example in the book. But on several occasions, I've had people call me weekly almost. My mom set up an estate plan with you, Attorney Fenton, and she passed away. Right? Here's my satisfaction. Okay. Here's my payoff. Hey, Attorney Fenton, what do I do now? Right. I say, give me one moment. Let me look. I pull up the trust. I have a brief conversation with them, 15 minutes, and then I say, nothing. You're fine.
Wow. Ain't that something?
Stop right there.
That's big.
The value and benefit that you're leaving your children is that you thought about them. You thought about them enough to plan. And I tell the story in the book about my mother. I won't tell it on air. I'll tell it on April 29th. You thought enough about your children to plan for that little old house.
Yeah.
And that means more than you leaving them oftentimes $500,000.
But get this. Not only that, she'll leave relationships intact.
Yes.
And
yes.
she says, well, I just got the house. No, you have everything in
the house. The pictures. How many fights are over the photographs?
The silverware.
The silverware. The piano.
The dining room table.
My father's TV and me and my sister. I'm like, I bought that TV for him. What do you mean you're taking the TV? I'm taking that TV for sentimental value.
Exactly. And the way Attorney Fenton lays out his trust planning, he's going to ask you to designate for all of your valuables, designate where they should go to alleviate a lot of those type of things.
But the fact that you took the time is priceless.
Yep.
Yes.
Anything on the circles that you run in?
Yeah. I thought about it this morning. Acknowledgement for Linnell. Because as I woke up this morning, I'm like, here it is. I'm, going on Linnell's show this morning. And I'm like, it was just from a casual conversation. I didn't seek Linnell out. I didn't cold call him.
Yeah.
He and I were having a conversation.
Yep.
And then I was talking about the book. He was like, oh, well, when are you launching?
Well,
he was like,
it was simple, right? We're on the phone.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm like, man, because you sent me a manuscript.
Right.
And I've been trying to get through the manuscript for the event. And I'm like, man, I could really use, you got a book that I could hold on. I get through a book faster than I get through reading the screen, right? And he's like, yeah, matter of fact, the book launches on Sunday. And I'm like, what? Like right away, like, you got to be on the show. I mean, I had a topic. I talked to my team already. We're going to talk relationships, not romantic relationships, but relationship period, right?
Right.
And I thought, well, this is relationship, right?
Yeah.
And so we just shifted. I told the team, put out a flyer. Let's go.
That's the right circle.
Yeah.
And it's not just because he has the platform. It's because of who he is and how he utilizes the platform. That's relationship.
Yeah.
And so, April 29th is relationship. I'm, cultivating.
That's good.
I'm cultivating the room.
Right.
So, like, you want to be around people who show up for events like that.
Do we get that?
I don't think we do.
Do we really, really get that?
Let me tell you another one. This is how I weed people out of my circle. And let me put it real blunt. I'm like, whoever calls me, knows me, unless it's a really good reason. If you're not there on Saturday, April 29th, I've made a mental note. You don't get my time. I've already offered you my time.
That is, and here's the thing. The person, I'm thinking about Brother Hugh Cooper who just called, right? He's been trying to get in touch with me.
That's my point.
I'm moving. I'm like, all right, bro, we got to connect. But, I mean, first, I'm a husband.
Yeah.
Second, I'm a father.
Yeah.
Third, I'm an executive leader who, by the way, has made commitments.
Yeah. You just told them where you'll be.
I'll be here. Let's talk then.
Yeah, you just told
them. But
hold on. You didn't just tell Mr. Cooper, Hugh, where you will be Saturday, April 29th. I was wondering if the audience got that. That's why I kept saying Linnell will be there.
Right.
So I'm just like, well, if you ever wanted to meet me or know me, or you met me but you want to be in greater relationship, well, I just told you where I'll be.
Exactly.
Not only will I be there, but Linnell will be there. And if Linnell and I are there, who else is there?
A hell of a room.
That's my point.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's a great way to end the show. family planning is business.
Yeah, thank you.
Family planning is corporate business.
Yeah.
I think we don't,
Yes.
like we have all these little boxes we put things in.
Yes, yes.
And it's like, if you are married and you have a family, you are operating and running a business.
A company.
A company. How well protected is your company, i.e., your family? Hey, my inspired peoples. Linnell Harris here, certified ontological coach and trainer. I'm so excited that you're watching the channel. By the way, did you know you can catch the show live at 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. every Sunday morning? You can. All you have to do is go to my Facebook stream, Coach Linnell Harris, catch the stream live, or you can listen to the radio show via iHeart at WVON 1690 AM. But since you're here, if you love the content, I ask that you share it, like this particular video, and subscribe to the channel. I hope you're having a great day.